Hi, my name is David and I'm 60 years old. I never thought that one day my own daughter-in-law would look me straight in the eyes and say, "You don't belong here. Get out of this house." The pain of leaving the home I built, the family I raised, shattered me more than I can ever explain. But what she didn't know was that one day I'd return, and when I did, her face turned pale. Before I share how that night changed everything for me, let me ask you something. What would you do if your own family turned their back on you when you needed them the most? Let me know in the comments, and also tell me which city and country you're watching from, so I can thank you personally. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more true stories like this. I still remember the day my son got married. He was standing tall, confident, with his new bride by his side. She was beautiful, young, radiant, her smile so polished that everyone believed she was the perfect match for my son. At first I did too. After all, as parents, we only want to see our children happy. But as time went on, I noticed subtle changes. The warmth of our home started fading. She would make small remarks that cut deeper than they seemed. "Why do you still live with us? Don't you think it's time you got your own place?" At first I laughed them off, thinking she was just adjusting. But soon those remarks turned into sharp commands. Birthdays came and went. Holidays slipped by, and I found myself sitting alone at the dinner table more often. My son, who once used to ask for my advice on everything, now looked at me with hesitation, as if he was afraid of upsetting his wife by even talking to me. There were days when I cooked meals, hoping we'd eat together, like the old times. But she always had a reason to eat separately. And slowly, my son followed her lead. I became invisible in my own home. It happened on a rainy evening. I had just come back from a checkup at the hospital. My health wasn't the best, and I was moving slower than before. I expected at least a little care, a small gesture of kindness. Instead, she stood in the living room, arms crossed, eyes cold. "You need to pack your things," she said flatly. I thought I misheard. "What? This isn't your house anymore. You've lived your life and now it's time for us to live ours. You're nothing but a burden here." Her words struck me like knives. I looked at my son, hoping, praying that he'd stand up for me. But he stayed silent. His head bowed, his lips pressed tight. The silence was louder than any insult. I begged. "This is my home too. I raised you here. Every corner of this house carries memories of your childhood." But she didn't care. With a smirk, she pointed toward the door. "Not anymore. Leave." And so, with trembling hands, I packed my small suitcase, my clothes, my medicines, a few photographs, and nothing more. As I stepped into the cold night, rain soaking my shoulders, I turned back once. My son avoided my eyes. My daughter-in-law shut the door. That sound, the final click of the lock, echoed louder than thunder. The first night after being kicked out is something I'll never forget. The rain didn't stop pouring, and I sat at a bus stop bench with my small suitcase by my side. Every drop of water that fell on me felt like a reminder. I had no place to go. I was 60 years old. My body was tired, my health fragile, and the betrayal fresh. I had always believed that family was the one thing you could count on. But that night, family was exactly what I lost. For days, I wandered between cheap motels and shelters. The food was scarce. The beds were hard, and the loneliness was unbearable. I missed the sound of my son's laughter, the smell of the home I had built, and even the small, ordinary arguments that once filled the house. But what broke me most was the silence. No calls, no messages, no one checking if I was alive. My own blood, my son, pretended I didn't exist. I tried to stay strong, but there were nights I cried myself to sleep. Nights when I asked God, "Why me? What did I do to deserve this?" The world outside was cold, harsh, and unforgiving. People passed by me without even noticing. To them, I was just another old man with a suitcase. One evening, when I had no money left, I found myself sitting outside a small diner. The smell of food made my stomach growl, but I didn't have a single dollar. A kind waitress noticed me, brought out a sandwich and said, "On the house." That moment reminded me, there are still good people in this world. Not everyone turns their back. Still, the humiliation of being cast aside by my own family burned deeper than hunger. And that fire slowly started changing me. I realized something powerful. If they don't want me, fine. But I won't let their cruelty define the rest of my life. That night, I made a decision. I wouldn't just survive, I would rise. The journey wasn't easy. At my age, no one wanted to hire me. Doors closed in my face again and again. But one thing my years taught me was persistence. I started small, odd jobs here and there. Cleaning, repairing, even helping at construction sites. My body ached, but I refused to stop. Every dollar I earned gave me back a piece of my dignity. One day at the library, where I often spent time to stay warm, I found a book about small investments in side businesses. I read it cover to cover. It sparked an idea. I had always loved fixing old furniture. What if I turned that into something? With the little savings I had, I bought a few broken chairs and tables from a thrift shop. I spent hours repairing them, polishing the wood, bringing them back to life. Then I listed them online. To my surprise, people loved them. Orders started coming in. It wasn't overnight success, but slowly, my small business grew. I rented a workshop, hired 2 young men who needed jobs, and before I knew it, I wasn't just surviving, I was thriving. The same hands that once trembled while packing a suitcase now built beautiful furniture admired by many. The same man, who was called a burden, was now an independent business owner. Every sale, every dollar, every new client was not just income. It was proof that I was worthy, capable, and strong. Years passed. My health improved because I had purpose again. My confidence returned. People respected me, not for what I had lost, but for what I had built from nothing. And then came the turning point. One evening, I received an invitation to a local business award ceremony. My small workshop had been nominated for Entrepreneur of the Year. I didn't win, but standing there, applauded by hundreds, I realized I had already won something far greater. That night, I decided it was time. Time to return. Time to show my son and his wife the man they had thrown away. But I wouldn't go back alone. No, this time I would return with someone by my side. Someone who would make them realize just how wrong they were. The day I decided to return was bright and sunny. Ironic, because the last time I left that house, the sky had been dark and merciless with rain. But this time I wasn't the broken man carrying a single suitcase. I was different, stronger, successful. And most importantly, I wasn't walking back alone. By my side was Clara, the kind waitress who had given me that free sandwich years ago when I was starving outside the diner. Over time, we had become close friends and eventually life partners. She had stood by me through the hardest of times, encouraging me when I doubted myself. She wasn't just someone I loved. She was the symbol of my second chance. As we pulled up to the driveway in my brand new car, I felt my heart pounding. Clara squeezed my hand, whispering, "You don't owe them anything, David. This is for you." I knocked on the door. Moments later, my daughter-in-law opened it. The moment her eyes fell on me, her face drained of color. It was almost poetic. Years ago, she had ordered me out. Now she stood speechless, confronted by the man she thought would never rise again. What are you doing here?" she stammered. I smiled calmly. "Visiting my son." "Is he home?" She looked past me, noticing Clara standing elegantly by my side, and her expression twisted into confusion, then fear. My son appeared at the door, his eyes widening. He looked at my car, my clothes, my confident posture, and then at Clara. I could see the shame burning in his face. For a long moment, none of us spoke. Then I finally broke the silence. Years ago, you both told me I wasn't worthy of being in your lives. You threw me out when I needed you most. And yet, here I stand, not broken, not begging, but stronger than ever. My daughter-in-law tried to mask her discomfort with arrogance. Well, good for you, but this doesn't change anything. You're still not— Clara stepped forward and cut her off. Not what? Not worthy. Let me tell you something. A man who builds himself up from nothing, who works with his own hands and heart, who never gives up, that man is more worthy than anyone I know. Her words left the air heavy. My son's eyes dropped to the floor, tears forming. For the first time he whispered, "Dad, I'm sorry. It wasn't enough, not yet. But it was a start. I didn't go there to beg for love. I went to show them what they lost when they chose cruelty over compassion. And judging by the pale face of my daughter-in-law, I had succeeded. I didn't stay long that day. I wasn't there to reclaim a house. I had already built a new home, with Clara by my side. I wasn't there to win their approval. I had already found respect in the eyes of strangers who became family, but I wanted them to see, to know, to feel the weight of their choices. As I turned to leave, I told my son, life will always test you, but the real test isn't what you achieve. It's how you treat the people who stood by you before you had anything. He cried, but I didn't wait for an answer. Some wounds take time to heal, some never do. Driving away, Clara held my hand. For the first time in years, I felt peace. Not because of revenge, but because I had proven to myself that their cruelty couldn't destroy me. And maybe, just maybe, my story could remind others out there, those who feel abandoned, broken, or unloved, that no rejection is final. You can rise again. You can rebuild. And sometimes the sweetest revenge is not in hurting those who hurt you, but in living so well that they can't ignore your light. What about you? Have you ever been betrayed by someone close, only to come back stronger than before? Share your story in the comments. I'd love to read it. And if you're new here, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon so you never miss powerful stories like this one. Until next time, this is David, reminding you, never let anyone decide your worth.